Dun, 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 dun. There we go.
That music every week. Everyone knows it's time for Humpday Q&A.
It's true. It is time for Humpday Q&A. It's that day of the week again that we sometimes call Hump Day.
We couldn't make it last week, so apologies, everyone. Hope everyone's enjoying themselves.
Everything's got to just line up. Stars and the moon and the planets have to line up for us to get
line
the
up
show.
Last week.
Sometimes it doesn't line up. We try.
We'll just jump straight into the introductions piece, and then we can get going on the stream. I mean, yeah, let's just do it.
Sure, why not? We can always chit chat or something. Oh, this is my job now. All right. So be nice, be respectful, be constructive. You're interacting with people all over the world, so be nice to all of us. Don't post anything that is rude or adult content or offensive. Do not advertise or promote anything. The only people allowed to promote things on this show are the people with their faces on the screen. So if your face isn't on the screen, you don't get to promote anything. I get to promote stuff all day, but I usually don't. Don't spam. Don't post the same thing again and again. It's just annoying. We do have ways of deleting it, but it takes us time to do that. So I hate that. The other thing is, if you post a question again, I happen to notice that, and I will take your previous version of the question and get rid of it entirely. So you won't be in the queue anymore. So you lose your spot in the chain. Let's see. Harassment of any kind, not tolerated. We do have ban hammers here. So we will use them if we need to. We'd rather not. And do have a good time, because we always have a good time playing this show, doing this show, not playing it. We have a good time just pushing buttons, I guess.
Indeed, have a good time.
Yes, right.
We'll say, if you want to post code, if you post any message that has a link in it, we won't guess it. It doesn't come through at all. So if you want to post code, you want to go to gist.new in your browser, and that will load up the GitHub's gist page. Post your code, make sure the file name ends in .dart, and then you can give us the hash from the URL after you post it. Make sure it's public, and then we can view that code, and we can comment it. We're happy to do code review. We're happy to talk about some code. Yeah, but we need that hash. That's the hexadecimal string from the URL. All right.
Great. And in general, questions should be preceded with Q colon. That way I know it's a question and goes to us as the panelists, and not you're just talking amongst yourselves, which happens a lot too. So Q colon in the front, as we already have a couple coming in, is what triggers me to mark it so that I will play it back and read it to Simon and everything else going on there.
So my name's Simon Lightfoot, Flutter community leader, been around for a while, and CTO at Dev Angels London. And you can follow me on Twitter and other places at Dev Angels London. Scott's not with us today. Randall, you're here. Introduce yourself.
I'm Randall Schwartz. I'm a Dart and Flutter Google developer expert, which means I'm one of the 10 people in the U.S. that Google has vetted to say that we get to talk a lot about Dart and Flutter, and that means I actually just spend about probably an hour or two a day. Actually, it's probably more than that, but I'm trying to pretend it isn't. Hanging out on Discord and Stack Overflow and Reddit, and I used to do Facebook for a while, but not anymore. What's the other one? There's one more, Slack, and yeah, and the forum, and the community forum, right? That's
the Visual Flutter community forums, yeah.
I do hang out there too. Yes, right. If you go to flutter.dev/community, it lists all those places. I hang out at all those places, answering questions and having a great time doing it, having a lot of fun doing it. And that's not the paying part of my day job. I'm also a full-time Flutter consultant as well, working for whoever wants to hire me all the time. I'm also, for this show, the question magician, which means that I am watching the chat, looking for that Q colon on a particular phrase. And when I see the Q colon, I flag it so that we can get back to that. They're taken in the order that they're given, unless you post it again, in which case you lose your place in line. So just don't do that. We see all, except the ones that have URLs in them.
We are the all-seeing eyes
yes.
of the administrators.
Right. Yes.
We also have Danielle. Danielle, welcome to the stream.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be back again. I'm Danielle Cox. I am the Flutter tech lead at a startup called Ardley. And I also am one of the organizers of the Flutteristas, which is an international organization for female and non-binary Flutter enthusiasts. So if you qualify for that and somehow aren't a member yet, hit me up. You can find me just about anywhere. And yeah, flutteristas.org is where you can go apply. But then hit me up and I'll make sure that you get tracked in quick.
Yeah.
And we also have John. John, welcome.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? So John Weezy, I work for a small company on an AI product that you may have heard of. But outside of that, I spend my time with Randall and others answering questions in a lot of the forums and hanging out here. Though it's been a while since I've been here, so it's good to be back. It's been crazy busy at work. So,
when you say small company, do you mean a micro company?
Yeah, a micro company. Yeah, so Microsoft and I work on Copilot. So I've been quite busy with.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Things going on in the Copilot.
Yeah,
yeah.
It'll never catch on.
No. The AI thing is just a fad.
This whole internet thing.
640K is enough for everyone. Don't worry.
Right.
It needs more than 256 characters. Yeah.
Right.
5,600.
No, here we have in the
fast enough.
I have to call this out. Christian.
Hey, Christian. Yay.
Genius of our stream is so welcome.
Yes.
Did so much for us.
Great.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, for joining us.
And I
should get him on the show sometime.
Anel out there too. We should say hi to Anel.
Oh,
yeah.
I know. Yay.
Friend of
the show. Yes. Right.
So
yeah. So should we start? Should we start
doing
the questions?
Yeah.
We got 4 questions already. I mean, we could just start. It's kind of cool.
We'll chit chat for a bit until we get some more questions in the queue.
What are you all?
I want to say one slightly off-topic thing first. Is that over the weekend, 3 different karaoke sessions, I sang "When I'm 64." Because it turns out that my parents would have had their 64th wedding anniversary this past Valentine's Day weekend. And somewhat coincidentally, in about 9 months, I'm having my 64th birthday.
Wow.
How did that work out? Anyway.
Just.
So.
Yeah. Oh, I guess
is a number for me.
I just picked up a board game that's called Flutter.
Really?
Oh.
I haven't played it yet.
Is it about Flutter? No.
Yeah. insects and stuff. But yeah, it looks
You have
fun.
to write code.
Yeah.
You have to debug overflow errors over
It's a
and
Flutter
over again.
trivia game. You got to answer questions about Flutter.
That's right. So if we're gonna chit chat a little bit, I'm curious. They've announced I/O. I'm just curious what people are looking forward to maybe this year compared to like last year.
Meeting friends, meeting old friends and new friends. That was the best part about it last year.
I've not had it. I'm not even paying attention. I've not had any invites. I've not been involved, so I have no idea what's going on. This year, I'm completely out of the loop. I've been.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. I have no idea what's going on.
Okay. Well, I just meant like what are we looking forward to? Seeing them,
The future.
That's right.
Yes. Yes. And playing the AI drinking game. Let's see how many times they say AI in the keynote this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be a lot. I'm sure again. Gemini will be the new keyword. Gemini will be the most mentioned word anywhere in any presentation being made. Gemini is going to be mentioned over and over and it gets so confusing because like I hang out on the Google developer Discord, and there are about 10 channels that are all labeled Gemini something.
Yeah.
And it's really tough when people come in and say, I did something with Gemini, and they don't say whether it's the app or the API or Vertex AI or just the website. It's like it could be any one of those, and in
that's
lots
half
of
the
different
fun.
modes.
You've got to work it out.
I know. So it's like when you say Gemini, what do you mean? Yeah. So it's been interesting.
It's when they say something completely different that's not related to AI, and you're like, what?
Yeah. And I've now discovered there's 2 more ways I can get Gemini. So I've been using Gemini Code Assist in VS Code for a while. For a while it was free, and now I'm paying $18 a month for it, and it's worth it for me. It actually seems to be really, really good. Now I've discovered that Android Studio has rolled it out as a free offering, for now at least, as an Android Studio plugin. So you can get Gemini Code Assist essentially for free right now in Android Studio. And that's the same same Gemini Code Assist that is in IDX, if you've been playing with IDX. So lots of places to use that. Two of those places are free. The third one, the one I use in VS Code, unfortunately has gone into having to pay for it now. I keep trying to ask around to see if there's no way I can get a discount because I'm cool, but apparently I'm not cool enough yet. So that's how it goes. Anyway, yeah, check it out though. It's really, really good. It's gotten pretty high rankings. The Gemini in general has gotten some pretty high rankings, and it seems to be biased towards current stuff. So when you ask it Flutter questions, it doesn't give you stuff from Flutter 1.0 anymore. Somehow it's gotten smarter at all that. So there we go. Yep.
We last week we went through Dart 3.7, didn't we? Was that last week, right?
We had a show last week. So it would have been 2 weeks ago.
So hey mate, have we missed out? Have we not talked about? Have we not talked about the Flutter 3.29 then?
Yeah, I
don't think we have.
Did we? Because that would have just been.
I don't remember going through
that. That would
this.
have just been last week, right? Didn't that just come out last week?
Yeah,
last week.
Yeah. So we weren't here. So maybe you went through it in your own home.
Should we do that?
But
you imagine going through it.
Yeah. Yes, right. Right. And again, I only said a few minutes ago not to repeat your question. And Flutter Coding wins the prize for doing the first one of those already. So don't do that. If you repeat your question, you lose your spot in line. Let me say that enough times that it sinks in. All right, let's do it. Let's go. We want to just do the questions, I guess, right? Or is that enough chit chat? Anybody want to keep chit chat?
Oh, I mean, I think we could answer that initial question, which is
okay.
Yeah.
Version 3.29. I have no idea, but we can find out. Let's have that.
Yeah.
The removing part they're talking about is from the linter, right? And the reason is because go ahead. What was that, Randall?
I was going to say they didn't remove const constructors. What the heck is he talking about?
But what they did is it's no longer they've been changing the lint stuff. It's like the trailing commas have to do with formatting, and the const constructors they've been talking about doing that's been coming through just because they don't find it that useful. It's the gain you're getting from it's not that huge, and the and it's very annoying, especially when people are starting out and they're starting to do stuff and seeing all that yellow and stuff. So I'm not sure they removed it completely, but they definitely removed it from the defaults.
Oh, so you can still make a const. You can still make a const constructor. It just doesn't get linted as a bias. Okay,
right?
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Is that because it's? Sorry, I'm just let's go through the release notes and see what it says. I'm just wondering if this is because it's auto const, right? And in terms of, there's no need to mark it as const because it will treat it as const when it can.
I haven't heard that, but maybe let's see. Let's look
because I can't see any reason why you would remove it otherwise, right? I can imagine you can remove it from the defaults to stop the squiggles, but like, that seems to be the wrong approach. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Should we start with Dart 3.7 and then go to
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, new year, new stable.
Welcome.
Dart 3.7 stable.
Welcome to
It's a
Dart.
developer productivity release. Ooh. We made Dart language more consistent by tweaking how it handles wildcard variables. Oh, I know about this. This is the underscore, right? This is the
It actually was treated as a variable before,
right?
And now it's not.
It's kind of funny because we've always done that and just treated it as a wild card, but never actually, the language doesn't actually know that, right?
Yeah, and now it does. And so also now you would just say underscore for each one that you're doing. You don't have to go underscore, comma, underscore, underscore, comma, underscore, underscore, underscore.
Okay, so let's get into
There are a few places when it's actually still treated as a variable name because it has to be to make the language work. Something about if it's getting referenced later in the same scope, it has to somehow be valid still. It was an exception. I don't remember the exception, but there's definitely an exception.
But I think they also have they now have lints for that to say you should be doing this because it's going to be deprecated, right? Like it's going to be removed.
It has been deprecated. I thought they were. I mean
it's going to be removed from the language layer, so you won't be actually.
I think this is when they removed it from the language, isn't it?
All right.
Well, it's active now.
Right. Investment. So we're already looking at improvements for build. Right, we went through this before. Augmentations and serialization. So it's basically data classes and what that means and how we do JSON. This is all coming up soon, right? Wildcards is what we're just talking about. So local variables and parameters named underscore are now what function language is called wildcards, which means the name is a placeholder that declares no actual variable, which, as we were just saying, was a variable before. We just ignored it.
Yeah.
Currently in Dart, the common uses underscore as a callback parameter, which doesn't actually need to have an argument like so. And you would need this because you need to comply with this the definition of what's required in this callback then, right? For the callback function is passed to then. However, we don't care for the parameter. Originally, this wasn't a problem. I don't know if everyone remembers, but in Dart 1, you didn't have to have the underscore because in Dart 1, it wasn't necessarily type safe. It was dynamic parameters for everything. So it meant that this wasn't a thing you had to do. And then when Dart 2 came along and type safe and null safety and everything else, it kind of this progressed into you need to do this to make it compatible. But if a callback has multiple parameters you don't need to use in your end, you end up doing this. Yes, we've all seen this before when you have like a catch with an error and a stack trace and whatever callback or a build function with parameters you don't care about. You can name them like this. This is because otherwise names collide. In Dart 3.7, parameter names with underscore don't actually create a variable. There's no possibility of name collision. You can use underscore for multiple parameters as is. All right, so you can do this, right? So the underscore now is not a variable, so that just means we don't care about this variable. Ignore this parameter, basically. Yeah. Which is quite nice because I guess there's also an optimization here that the compiler could do by not passing in the variable, right, into the scope. So this actually is probably going to make the output slightly more optimal. Whether that has a bearing on impact on performance is highly doubtful, but it's nice that we don't have to run code that we're not going to use, right?
Well, okay, if it actually does that I mean, you know, what if that parameter was a function call or something that now are still got to make the function call, doesn't it? It's not going to not make the function call on the calling side, right?
I don't know what.
No,
you're saying that if you call a function, the result of that function returns to a parameter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but no, that would still be called. It'd just be void, right? Like
exactly.
Void function.
We just ignore it. Yeah, once it came back.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it wouldn't have any functional impact because you're not using it, right? So we're just saying it doesn't have to be passed into the function. So what you're saving on is any push and pops from the stack, basically.
Yeah.
In scope, which is very fast anyway. So it's probably going to make a little tiny bit of impact, but it's probably going to win the noise of the app, probably.
A little bit of memory if you're not creating a variable. And stuff.
Yeah, a little bit of memory. You know, this probably has. Maybe depending on the architecture that you're running on, like ARM versus Intel, might have a performance impact, a little bit more of or less of a performance impact. But yeah,
but I also think though it's going to have some better like code quality kind of stuff, even if it's not.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, like you get a thing where, like, for example, in this situation, in the output code, we could actually examine this at some point on the stream. Might be fun, but you might get these two variables passed over in registers because it's only like passing one or two parameters. Therefore, they're pushed on registers rather than the stack. In which case, those registers themselves don't have to be saved and pushed before they're overwritten and clobbered. So you kind of get a more optimal flow of code happening because you don't have to use up a lot of registers and you don't need to use them. I don't know. I mean, all of it adds up. It definitely does, but. I mean, we're talking about things assuming that's the case. Because if it was me writing, be honest, if it was me writing the compiler and we did this, then I would be saying, okay, we're making a language change. We're certainly not going to pass them in because they're not being used, right? Like, I'm hoping that's what they're doing. At least.
Yeah.
We'd have to like look at the output to know for sure, or ask someone on the Dart team. But yeah. Anyway, yes, so this is now illegal. Yes, now this is. So you're saying what you're saying earlier, Randall. I don't think is the case.
Yeah.
No. What I'm saying is about the next paragraph, so don't worry about it right now.
Okay, well, let's get there.
Okay.
You have to rename the parameter to local variable. In this situation, the language can only apply to the parameter on top. You can rename this without breaking that. Yeah. So basically saying you would have to rename the underscore to something else.
If you want to use it, yeah.
Wildcard variables are a small set of features that make language. Yes, so this is nice. So pattern matching.
Yeah.
So if you want to pattern match and extract, you can now say, I want to ignore these parameters from the pattern, which is really helpful because again, it was previously you would have to extract them, and now again this lines the code because it's only going to extract 2 and 3. Sorry, it's only extract 3 into parameter third, and ignore the rest. Right? Again,
back up earlier where it says libraries public API. That phrase there, not top level variables or members. That was the exception I was thinking of.
Yeah. So yeah, but this is the same. This is not just this. This is across the board, right? So the underscore only applies to local scope.
Right, but a single underscore, a single underscore for a variable or for a member still is a real variable.
Yes, yeah. So it's about. Sorry, to be clear for everyone watching, we're talking about this underscore thing that we've just been talking about. The wildcard is only to local scope. This is only to function scope and parameters for a function. And what this is saying here is it does not apply to top level like globals. Or members of classes, right? They can still be named underscore without breaking anything.
Okay.
I have a feeling though that they'll probably end up removing that as well.
Yeah,
it's a really bad idea. I can't imagine wanting to do that anyway.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, could you imagine if you had one of those scoped variables and now this code would work, but it would not be at all what you thought it would be?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, because I think it would still. I don't think it would use that because it would error.
That's not in scope anymore. It's not a variable in scope. I think it would.
No, but what I'm trying to say is you wouldn't be able to reference in a local function. Would you ever have to reference
a global variable? Sure.
Oh, yeah. That could still reference a parameter.
If you didn't have a parameter called underscore, you would be referencing the local variable.
Right.
Don't do that. Would be doing that anyway. Okay. Anyway, I think it's fine. Anyway, let's move. Let's get
We're in the weeds now.
In the weeds. Right. New formatting style. We spoke about this before on the stream. This is the notion that the old style would automatically do this, and you'd have to put a comma in here to have it break down onto the line below and do this.
Yeah.
So what they're saying now is commas are automatically assumed.
And I frankly don't like that. I'm going to be honest.
I'd be honest. I don't like it either.
Yeah.
I don't like that. What I liked was the option of doing both.
Yep.
And then that way, if I'm going to put a comma in, I get this formatting, and I've got to choose between the two.
Exactly.
In certain situations, it was helpful.
Yeah, count size box height : 3. I'd rather keep that on one line.
Yeah, I think there's options like there's some other nice things you can do where you put. I mean, we've seen this on the screen before, where you put a comment like a double slash comment at the end of somewhere in your code, and it forces the formatter to line break there, which meant that you could actually arrange things on the screen slightly better for readability than the default formatter. We'll see how this goes over. There might be changes in ink and it flips back and forth a bit. Who knows? But we'll see how it runs. I'm the thing is, I know what it's like, right? Yeah. You get long in the tooth. You say, this is my way of doing things. I like it like this. And do you know what happens? You try something new, and after a while, it becomes the norm. And you're like, this is brilliant. I wish it always did this. So you know,
you have to keep in mind the biggest expense in changing formatting is reformatting Flutter/Flutter, though.
Well, they're actually doing that now. The thing is,
they did that.
But this is the thing. Before now, they didn't actually apply their own formatter to their own code, was it? The Dart and Flutter styling was not applied to the Flutter code base, which super annoyed me every time I tried to do an edit and stuff for ages. I think after this, they're saying that they are. I think they're saying that they're.
I think they did. I think they did. Yeah. They're rolling everything forward. Now, I think there was a big commit that had something like 22,000 files touched or something recently in Flutter.
Okay,
so
might have been that.
Yeah, I think it was probably
okay. So large tools that output produces and behaves. We try and make transitions smooth as possible. Depends on the language version, so you need to update your dependency inside your pub spec. Your SDK environment dependency is a 3.6. So it's a 3.7 to get this new style automatically applied when you run Dart form, which I like. I believe we've also got, or maybe we'll get down to it. Yeah, we've got something else in this. I know that's coming. That is, I've been waiting for to land for ages. Anyway, so you need to bump the SDK to determine the format of each version. Looks at Dart format looks at package config.json, which means you need to run Dart pub get before you run it. The new style includes long requested features. This one I have wanted since day one of that. Every time, like, because 80 columns, I love it. Don't get me wrong, 80 columns, the classic limit of code. I get it. It's a terminal. It's your old text windows and everything else. However,
it's a Hollerith card. It's a Hollerith card.
On modern, exactly. On modern resolutions, though, it's like 100, 120. That's what you're looking at. 80 is like out the window. You need the extra width on your code, right?
How many developers are still developing on small little screens? I mean,
it's interesting because I found that 80 was too small, 120 was too much when you want to have multiple documents side by side. 100 felt to me like the sweet spot. I could have in my font size like 2 documents, potentially 3, depending on if I squish things up, and have so you can have side-by-side copying, moving things and whatever else. Whereas, 80 was just like forever editing on like a proportion of your screen and wasting the rest.
Yeah. There we go.
The Flutter user updates the format, finally using Dart format, and he uses 100 as the page width. See, I told you, 100 is the correct answer.
Nice. The first 3-digit number if you're counting up. Yes. They're being reformatted to 3 digits.
I wonder how many people are going to copy and paste this and use
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
That would be horrible. That would be just wrong.
I was actually gonna make a joke about that. I think the Dart team has spoken. The correct answer is 123.
All right. So
I'm gonna argue the other side of the point, though. I think that 80 is a comfortable space for me to kind of scan straight down and see the whole line without having to bounce back and forth left and right a lot.
Randall, you're old-fashioned. Just saying.
Okay, Boomer.
Oh, that's all that matters. I'm just old. I walk my walker up to my terminal and I look at things, and that's what I want to do. So,
Oh my god. Oh my god. What did I just see? Hey mate, what did I just see? Come up on my screen here.
160.
160.
God.
My God.
I think we use 100.
Some big monitors there.
The problem with me is you have to. There's a thing. What was the thing? Hang on. This is in design languages. If there's too many words on a line, it's hard to follow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm
So
saying.
you want them to wrap at a certain point. And I think with coding, it's that kind of thing. I end up false putting comment, the comment slashes in, so I get like the stacking, so it's easier to read like a pipeline or some other sort of notion, right?
Now
160.
Yeah, we use 120.
Yeah.
But the point is that there's different things. I've got, if I've got like a long string, for example, that I'm using, I don't want to have to wrap that, an extra 50% of the time to do 80 instead of 120, for example. On the other hand, yeah, if I've got code that's going across that far, it's exactly what you just said. Now I'm having to keep track of multiple concepts because I've got a turn area that's not breaking or something like that.
Yeah. I literally always force a break on a ternary, literally on purpose, so that you get the question mark one colon the other.
Yeah.
It's such a great way of visualizing. Sorry. Yeah. All right, let's get back to these concepts. Otherwise, we'll never get this done. Right. Opting out of region of code format. This is nice. So we weren't able to do this before. So now you can put in a comment saying off and on, and it will skip the formatting of it, which is so nice for when you have an array of bytes and you don't want the array to fucking format one byte on every line. Which is the default. There is a way of using the double slash again to force break it at certain depths, but it's a hack. This is the proper way of doing it now, so which is great.
I like that.
I'm assuming it doesn't say here. I'm wondering if you have to target 3.7 to get these new features working.
Yes. Yeah.
Or if it's just the language change. It's not clear to me in the article if it means that. Because this is for what it's talking about above, right? Dart format.
Yeah, but
your minute.
I assume these are part of the new styling. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
I would do that if I was them. So yeah. All right, quick fixes, unnecessary underscores, which okay, so they now have it supporting the new wildcard, so you don't get that problem. Yeah. Okay. I love this. Now includes combinations like missing await keywords, incorrect import prefix, violation of linter rules, cascade invocations, else if blocks, expand. Yeah. So they're just basically updating the defaults and bringing in some of the changes. Yeah. And a specific list, the full list of analyzer changes. Maybe we'll have a look, maybe not. Right. Dart web. They introduced the new libraries and packages. I remember us talking about JS Interop and web. It wasn't a year ago. Can't be that long ago. They maybe started developing it a year ago. Or mind you, it could
started rolling out 6 months ago at least, maybe a year. About the same time WASM started.
And I think it started development a year ago, and then it's been 6 months. It's been it was what, November when we got the first beta of this?
Yeah, I don't think it was stable until now.
Maybe October. I can't remember now. In fact, do you know what? When's the change that it went to version 1, didn't it? When did it go to version 1? There you go. 7 months ago.
7 months ago.
July. Wow.
Rounded up to a year.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, it was 7 months. It's not, yeah. It's not that much, right? Anyway. So as part of the continued effort to move Dart and ecosystem to WebAssembly compatible, which our friend Kevin Moore has done absolutely brilliant efforts on getting this from where it is today, which has been, I can just imagine the immense effort involved in making this migration. It's huge. We've deprecated associated legacy APIs. So these finally have been deprecated. What I really like about this is Dart WebGL. I used this to build a few things, and it was never compatible with Dartpad, and those other issues around it. It kind of was written legacy at the time. And now the WebGL APIs are in the web package, and now you can actually officially use them, and they're more optimal as well. So,
and I love that next line. Tell us exactly when you're planning on getting rid of it. I like that.
We plan to remove these libraries in 25. You can learn about the replacements here. New productivity features in pub.dev. Then we know this with that download counts and show monthly downloads, small chart, weekly downloads. Today, we're extending support on viewing download counts per package version. It was now possible to get an indication of how many consumers are using which package and having upgrades to the latest, which is really helpful, right? So when you release a new version, you can see the transition from the old to the new. And you can see people picking up the new version. Yeah, and this also helps you gauge how fast people are doing their upgrades. You know, if you need to backport features, and so your next version needs to support X amount and so on. Cool, nice. Dark mode, yay! By popular request, every developer's like, "I need dark mode." Yeah,
Simon, how many times did you send in a request? That's what we really got to ask.
They're all mine.
Okay.
Don't tell anyone.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You got your puppets going. All right, cool.
Yeah. Topics of pub.dev. Oh, yeah. And they've proposed the canonicalization with a pull request. They've improved basically the way they deal with topics. Oh, you can do a topic colon and the search to find. So it's like a nice keyword. What I've noticed, has anyone noticed this? This is kind of people. I'm going to just complain right now on the stream. If I search for web,
I don't know what you're complaining about. Yeah.
Why it says exact package name match web? Why is that not the first result? Can anyone?
You're sorting on search relevance. If you're not sorting on search relevance, it comes up correctly.
No, newest package, overall score, none of them. I'm telling you.
Oh, that used to be that was the theory I saw a couple days ago. Was that somehow, if it's not the first package based on the sorting order, then you're not going to get it as the first package.
Yeah, the theory I saw was that it was taking like bug points involved. In there.
If you've got an exact match, it just says this at the top.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I can click on and go to it, which is what I was doing anyway. But I want to see this information. I want to know this information at the top of the search, right? This is helpful.
So we're just saying exact package name match should be the most relevant.
I mean, the other one here, and I can see why they don't want to do this, is like you type in the search and it takes. I think before, if you typed it in, did it take you straight to the package? I don't think so.
No,
I kind of want that as an option. I kind of for most of the time, if I'm going to type an exact package name,
you want to go right to
be taken to the package.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I get the way that you could be searching for something that's like path, and you want to find other packages with the word path in, and that's going to be a problem, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like that's something you could switch off, because the likelihood is you're trying to find a specific package.
Or you can make it a prefix, exact:web.
Yeah, or have a separate search bar for package, like
right.
And you type in and it finds it only gives you direct matches to the package. I mean, it's the same as typing in. Don't get me wrong, you can type it in the URL, right? So you can just type in packages / and then I can go web, right? So I can just go whatever /web, right? And I'm there. But to most of the time, I go pub.dev, whack it in the search box, and I want to be taken to the package, right?
Okay.
So Simon, just fire up your bots that you use to get dark mode.
Yeah, that's what I got to
do. And
send
this one in, and send this one.
I mean, I do think that an exact match was the most relevant result. That would solve a lot of what we're talking about.
Well, and it's doing it right, because that's what you're seeing when you searched for web. You're seeing the exact match on that line, but it should show it.
Yeah, why not just show it
like
actual tile, not just the word? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it can't. To me, it can't be because they don't want to promote the exact match or something. Because it's the same for all of them, right?
Right.
Yeah, I know, whatever.
But I'm saying it says exact package name match because it found an exact match. Why is, like you're saying, why don't they also show a tile or just show the tile?
Yeah.
At the top or something. Yeah.
I mean, there's another thing you could do if you're doing like the same package all the time. It could learn that that's what you do and actually start doing that on your behalf, right? There's other cool things.
Apply a little bit of AI or something.
That needs that AI stuff though.
Why is it only?
It's not going to be around long. So.
What was it?
Yeah.
What was it? Christian just said, "Why is it for
path?
web and not PDF?" It does it for it does it for everything. PDF, path.
Yeah, PDF for some reason did.
Yeah, but the difference based on the theory I was seeing is that if you look, PDF is got 160 pub points and web only has 140.
Oh no! I think that's the ordering on the page. The question is, if it finds an exact match, look, why is this here on second and not first?
That's a good point right there. I agree.
A separate thing entirely.
Yeah,
I think if it's an exact match,
it's got less likes. It's got less likes. In that case, it's got more downloads. It's the same pub points, but it's got less likes.
Yeah, exactly.
In case it wasn't clear to anybody at home at this point, we don't work for Google. We can't fix this stuff.
That's true.
We can only complain about it the same way y'all complain about it.
We could be old grandpas and complain about raise issue tickets about, we don't like it. We don't use it that way. Anyway, right, come on, let's move on. Right, so so now you can put
great grandpas.
Is license topic and oh look, it does autocomplete.
Ooh.
Anyway, let's try it. Let's try it. Topic colon. Page down failed. Okay. So topic, and we have.
Let's hear.
It doesn't give me. All right, I'm going to complain. It's giving me the starts of other things, but not actually.
No. Oh no! Oh, ick. Ick. Okay. No more ooh. No more ooh though. Ooh.
So I'm type now I get apple.
It went from a W to an L immediately.
What happens with a search application? I get what web app. There you go. I think this kind of work. This works as a starting point. I feel like maybe if you're going to do topic colon, this should be based on like popularity or so you can see the topics that are currently like popular on pub.dev or something like that, right? Anyways, we're complaining. We're old farts, right?
Yes.
Wow. On to Flutter.
All right, on to Flutter. Let's get to this, and then maybe we can get to the actual answer of your questions. So
we only have 7 questions. Too bad.
All right, get your questions in, everyone. Come on.
Yeah.
Right. Defines boosted performance with updates to Impeller, Cupertino, DevTools, and more, with 104 unique authors contributing in this release lifecycle. 3.29 showcase the community's dedication. Let's explore what's new. Right. Cupertino updates. Cupertino navigation bar, sliver navigation bar now except bottom widget. Typically a search field or segmented control. That's when you have the double stacked navigation bar, right? With the search box and stuff. I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is there an example?
Yep.
Was there an example?
Run.
Where I didn't pop up.
Oh. Yeah, so this is where you have like you have your title bar, and then you can have like a search field automatically. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, can automatically resize. Oh, okay. So that means if I scroll, does it? No, I can't scroll on the example. Okay. Can we go to the bottom? Automatic resize until hidden or be shown when navigation bar is scrolled. Okay, very similar to those effects that you see on the material navigation bar. When partially scrolled, snaps between its expanded collapsed, large, and as it's a static navigation bar, display the large title. Thanks to David Hicks 980. Thanks, David. Now has pop-ups and more vibrant background blurs and fidelity. So this is I guess this is a result of that. Like it's better. Yes.
More fidelity.
Yep. That's interesting. I kind of want to like see what that's all about, but maybe we'll have a look at it. Right.
I don't know.
New Cupertino sheet fidelity. See, how has this not been
in there the whole time?
iOS style modal sheet view that can be removed using drag to dismiss. That's something I kind of, do you know what I kind of feel? Every app I seem to be re-implementing a bottom sheet that will pop up based on the height of the content, and then you can scroll it and it will get larger and fill the view, and then if you fling it down, it will just dismiss. Well, why is that not like built into the framework nicely? Because at the moment, the ones that are built in are not doing that. Cupertino sheet. Well, this seems to be very similar, right? The whole sheet thing. That's cool. Cupertino's alert dial native fidelity in dark mode. Okay, nice. So, hang on a minute. Is this a before and after, or is this like iOS? And I'm very confused.
I think that's the. Wait, go. What was the change?
Before improvement is left is native view, right is Flutter view.
Oh, yeah.
Flutter's crisper.
Which is kind of.
Like, well, the only difference is kind of like the dividing lines are a little different.
We do have dividing lines there.
They're just dark. They're not. Yeah, it's a little different, but
I don't know if that's. Oh, hang a minute. Before and then we've got after improvement.
Oh, there, got it.
Okay, so this is what it was like before. in native versus Flutter, and now what it is like, it's matched. Yay! Okay.
Except the color's different. Just
yeah. I wonder what you get is red and Flutter.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, that's because that's been officially the negative option, so they can be made the same color though. But when inverted, Flutter's text selection handles swap their order on iOS, and the border color text selection magnifier now matches the current theme. Oh, because there were oh, I see. So when you go left, they swap. Where before this would have been positive and negative.
They didn't swap. Yeah, they stayed. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, that's good.
Page forwards page transition builder, the new Material 3 page transition builder, designed to match Android's latest page transition. Why did Android change the page transition on every bloody version? Anyway, it's just to make it feel fresh, right? Like, I don't know.
Yes, it's to let you know that which version of the operating system you're using.
Well, it shouldn't be following Material and not the other way around. Just saying.
Oh, it's Material changing. Maybe that's why Android's changing.
Yeah, I get it, but also I'm just like, sometimes I'm just like, the amount of times the transitions have changed, I'm like, I would like them to give me a study on why it's changed. You know, like this increases the impact on people actually navigating or something, not just it looks pretty.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like an old fart. Right.
I want a transition where it pops in character by character.
Okay.
All over the street.
This is good. The new transition also addresses the performance issues previously caused by Zoom page transition. So it's this one here. We actually had this. Didn't we have this same transition in animations library? The Flutter.
I think so. Because it was missing. So I think that's why.
Okay. This release updates circular progress indicator and linear to align with the latest material line specifications. Update the styling by setting the year 2023 property to false.
Yeah, this just felt weird.
Yeah, well,
yeah. When I saw that, I'm like, that seems
not the year anymore.
Yeah, I thought that was quite odd.
Yeah, I really did. It was.
Can it just look that up?
It
knows when 2023 is.
What? Sorry. I'm looking at this going, it's saying that you need to set it to false to turn off the old version.
Correct. So basically, it's like instead of saying year 2023, how about like use old? I mean, just something different. But
I know.
Why year 2023?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not too worried. It's not really that it concerns me. It's the fact that normally what they've been doing is defaulting to true. Like the use Material 3 now is on by default.
Oh yeah, and you have to go and turn it off.
And you can turn it off if you want to. Yeah. To me, this should be the same thing, right? When you go to Material 3, it turns on the new progress bar styles, a new version of Flutter, and then.
Well, so it is on by default, right?
No, this is saying if you want to use the update styling, you need to set.
Oh, you have to use the updated. You got to change it to false. Yeah.
Which is the reverse.
Yeah,
it's reverse.
Right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
next. My phone.
Luckily for this, it's in the theme data, right? So it means that you can turn it off globally. So that's nice.
But year 2023 is such. I mean, Dart, whatever, effective Dart has definite things about how you name variables. Year 2023 is not one of those. It doesn't fit anywhere in there for a rule.
Well, or make it Material 2, right? Because this is all new in Material 3. So just say Material 2 to false or something.
Well, that would make more sense. Actually, but yeah. But whatever it is, but have something like you said, use previous style or something.
Yeah.
Not year 2023.
Hey,
that means nothing. And it also doesn't tell me which way to go.
The one before that's more context.
Except
that was on the alert. That's why the colors on the dividers are different. Still, they're not exactly.
Yeah, but he's saying that the fix for divided color in the Cubic line did not land and it's still wrong. Okay, yeah, and then
go down a couple more. He's got there. Something and they just missed that. And then there's something that didn't land in 329 again. So they missed a deadline, but they still shipped something.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that we'll get.
We never do that. That never happens.
Taking cues from other large corporations. Come on.
Let's continue. Let's continue. Come on. We've got to get to the question.
All right, go to the next. What's next?
Yeah. Really?
Right.
We have 7
in
questions waiting.
design.
You're waiting.
This is nice. This is nice. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Several bug fix enhancements. Keyboard navigation now correctly triggers the drop down on select callback. Improved tab bar, elastic tab animation. Improved range slider, thumb bar alignment, divisions, and round corners. Enhanced customizable several components. Mouse cursor property has been added to chip, toolbar, and readable list view. Finally, allowing for custom mouse cursors on hover. Text selection now gives you information about the selection under the. Oh wow! Flutter now gives you information about the selection under the selection area or selectable region with a selection listener. That's really helpful.
Ooh.
This means that you can actually customize like pop-ups and other things that happen once the selection takes place on multiple elements of your widget tree, right? Things like that. Yeah. What is the worst name widget in Flutter is it listener, right? The mouse one that does.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God. And like we'll just call it listener. That's great.
Yeah.
I really want them to deprecate the old one and like change the name of it. I know it breaks things, but it's like just do it because it's just so bad.
We were willing to do it with Animation Builder.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and the longer it stays around, the longer, the more things that you start to have with similar names. And
it's also one of those things where someone comes to the project, starts naming things, and they're going to name it along similar precepts and concepts, which just ingrain it into the code base.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can get like showing that you can react to the various like states as it happens. Accessibility improves accessibility. Go on.
I was gonna say showing offsets and stuff like that. Does it also give us like what is selected, like the actual text?
I would assume so. I just don't think you can just display it.
Yeah, they didn't show it there. Yeah.
Okay.
When a screen reader is enabled, form widget only announces the first error that it encounters. That's helpful, I guess. Screen now announces the correct label for drop-down menus. That's very helpful. Web, we originally used in May 2024. So that would be the version 1 that we looked at earlier.
That's the WASM, yeah.
WASM's form web now requires you to host a Flutter web application with special HTTP response headers. This requirement has now been relaxed. Yay! Whilst updating the headers allows Flutter web apps to build with WASM and run multiple threads using default headers, allows you the application to run with WASM but limited to a single thread. So basically, this is what I believe they're talking about is cause headers. Yeah, okay, just sort it down here, make cause, right? Basically, that's hang on a minute, what does cause stand for? Cross-origin requests. Something.
Scripting, right?
Something like that.
Cross-origin
requests. But yeah, I know it's cross-origin, something like that. Anyway, but the point here being is the idea is that a website is not allowed to request things from outside of its. It can make requests, but if that external source does not say this website can display that content, it's not allowed to do it inside the browser. This is a browser restriction. Response something maybe. Okay, it doesn't matter anyway.
Resource sharing.
Cross-origin resource sharing. Damn it, we're so close. Right. The point being here is that it would try and request multiple files, right, to create multiple threads. This is for the background worker stuff, and of course that would then fail. So what they're saying is if you don't have the headers enabled, it will still work, but be single threaded. So you get more performance if you enable course headers, right? So yeah, that's what this is all about. Impeller Vulkan stability. Thanks for the feedback and bugs report 3.27 beta. The stable releases come a number of correctness and performance improvements were made. The Vulkan backend, including fixing reproducible flickering and visual jitter that for many users reported on older Vulkan capable devices. Obviously, this all relates to Vulkan is also related to Android, right? Mainly on the output platform. Disabling Android hardware buffer swap changes. This feature has been placed behind a feature flag to determine that it works correctly across devices. A large number of black screen crash reports were resulting in Vulkan and MediaTek Power VR SoCs have been disabled. These devices now use Impeller's OpenGL backend. Android emulators have now been updated to use the Impeller GLES backend. Okay, so basically improvements all around. Impeller ELGS in 3.29, Android devices that don't have a functional Vulkan driver will fall back to Impeller's OpenGL ES instead of Skier. So finally, Skier is gone from the mix here. This behavior is enabled by default and doesn't need to be configured. This brings Impeller support on Android to 100% of Flutter supported Android devices. Yeah. Right. Impeller on iOS. Skier support has now been removed from the iOS backend. So Flutter enabled Impeller opt-out flag no longer works. Basically, you're always opted in. Good luck. Further binary size reductions are expected because obviously you don't have Skier in the output. That's nice. New features. This release contains a number of new features to take advantage of the Impeller backend. Okay, what are they? Backdrop filter optimizations. So applications with multiple backdrop filters can use the new backdrop group. Okay, and use a new backdrop filter.group constructor. These can improve performance of multiple blurs above and beyond what is possible with Skier backend. For example, visit basis.source code. Okay, interesting. Image filter.shader. Oh, thank you. I've wanted this for I don't know how long. Constructor allows both custom shaders to any child widgets. You don't know what this means, honestly, everyone. You do not know what this means.
What does it mean?
This is amazing. This is revolutionary. And it got one line without explanation. I'm kind of pissed. So
tell me.
Okay, no, just got to explain this. I got to explain this, right? When you've got to pull, no. Let me give you an example here. Example of an effect that everyone has asked for is a page turn effect, right? When you're trying to do like an e-reader kind of effect or a newspaper or some sort of like skeuomorphic kind of reading experience, you want the page to kind of curl and flip, right? Now that page is going to be a bunch of widgets or content that's in there. And when you flip to the next page, you want it to do this kind of curl effect. Now to do that currently, you have to capture a screenshot of the widgets, right?
Yeah.
Then put an image view there, and then you pass that as a what's it called, a image pixel buffer or whatever to the shader. Then the shader does its effect, right? And you place that, and you use that shader in a widget over the top of everything, kind of thing, to do that effect. And then you can kind of tweak your widgets and go back to normal. So basically, you're doing this massive like sham to kind of achieve this effect, and it's so painful. It's so painful. Whereas with this, you're just wrapping your widget with image filter. And you just say to the shader, "Go do your thing," and it will just animate the contents of the widgets. Yeah. Sorry, this is honestly, this is amazing.
That's great.
How do you really feel, Byron?
Sorry,
how do you really feel?
Yeah, right. Similar to the function of animated sample. Oh, there's a sampler. So it's called a sample.
Sounds like I was going to say, sounds like a coding example for later on.
Example, the backdrop. Ooh, is this
18.dart?
So it's only supporting Impeller rendering engine. Makes sense, yeah. To check at runtime whether it's supported, is shader filter supported? That's kind of cool. Yeah, so you can do your shader. You include it where you want, and then pass that fragment shader to the image filter. Bosh. And then you can use this image filter on anything in Flutter where you can put the filters, which is like so much lot. Yeah, this is not just like on the image filter widget or the backdrop filter, but there's a ton of places you can use that. That's fabulous. Right, where are we? Back to here. That needs. I can't believe there's not like a little example of this or something. Anyway, like, you know, I mean, like a nice, as I said, like a page turn example. Maybe I have to do one. Dart threading changes on Android iOS. Yeah, this was a big thing that came up before, right? Flutter execute code on different thread, UI thread, than the platform's main thread. This allowed higher theoretical throughput on both the platform UI threads were occupied, became the cost of making the most platform interrupt requirements serialized and asynchronous message passing. So this actually had a knock-on effect of that on text input accessibility plugins and so on. It was an interesting concept at first. So to be clear, the main thread of your operating system, let's say Android, is going to be rendering the UI. It's going to be dealing with like popping up the keyboard and whatever else. And then Flutter was working completely independently, its UI. And these are hard to synchronize because with the asynchronous nature of code, things may take longer or slower, and it just doesn't flow well. Where basically what we're saying now is these now conjoined, which means that we can actually better handle all those situations and better have interrupt with the platform. But now the cost that you're now occupying one thread's time with the Dart code and the native code.
Yeah.
Which I'll be honest with you, I'm okay with. The knock-on effects that you got from not having this combined was pretty drastic. It's not that simple, mind you, right? Like, I'm sure there's going to be some other issues that come up from this, but I think they're solvable.
The thing that makes me skeptical is the fact that Eric Seidel is pretty skeptical himself of this, with reasons why it wasn't done this way originally. And
the thing is, I think, but we've come along. I think I will also say that I think he mentioned this as well, that Dart and Flutter have come a long way since then, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, if the team have obviously, I expect the team has done the due diligence and they've been testing this and everything else.
Yeah.
The fact that this is released production means that they've actually done what they believe is correct. Now, if we start getting performance impact improvements, like, everyone starts seeing this, then they're probably going to revert it, right? Or stick it under a feature flag or something else. But I can't see that happening right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. Anyway,
by the way, Eric was just skeptical. He was not. He's not close enough right now to say one way or the other. But
Yeah. So this So as it says here, this is the first part of a series of changes to improve platform interrupt on mobile platforms, as well as making synchronous calls to and from the platform without the overhead of serialization and message passing. This is huge, right? Without this overhead, this means that we can be calling native operating system functionality, and it would just be returning correctly back and forth in the Dart environment without any impact on performance. So the thing is, there's an interesting thing, right? It's kind of interesting, right? If you think about it, Danielle, you've got these two threads and you're having to communicate between. There's an overhead attached to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And by combining them and removing that overhead, probably that's enough to actually give you that extra headroom that you need to actually combine them into one thread. There's an interesting idea there.
Yeah.
Anyway, DevTools and ID. New DevTools Inspector. Is enabled by default for all users. New inspector, condensed widget tree, new widgets properties, view an option to automatically update in response to hot reload and navigation events. For more details, new inspector widget, Flutter docs. So that looks nice.
Oh,
interesting.
Auto update will be handy because I remember having to force that a lot of times.
We'll see. I always find, like, for some reason, for me, I set you set your code font. It annoys me. You set your code font size in the editor, and it makes the font size of this. This is IntelliJ, like Android Studio. It says the font size of this to massive, but this is not code. It's using the wrong font size. It should be using the UI font size, not the code font size. So you get when I increase the font size on the streams like when we're doing the code things, it's Dev Inspector is like massive. Something's going wrong there. Changes to on-device widget selection. After knowing widget selection, DevTools on-device consider widget selections until you exit the widget mode. Previously, this was kind of weird, right? So you would select a widget and then you'd have to click on the search icon and then select a different widget. And now they're saying it's on. You can keep clicking around and it goes off when you hit the X button. So, a difference in how that kind of select mode works. Sure, why not? Okay. Logging tool. Logs include display more methods such as log severity, category, zone, isolate. Oh, so handy. Add some more. We got this. Do you guys remember this? I don't know how old you are. We had this like improved logging feature that came out in Flutter, I think when Dart 2 came out. Like they added it to the plugin, and then it was a massive disaster. Like over time, heading out of memory, it could just slow down. There was like some real problems with it, and it was an experimental feature. And you had to just disable it, right? And we actually finally got this now. This looks awesome. I can see how this is so helpful.
Yeah.
This is kind of interesting. That has this detected like you can output an object and it actually gives you it looks like you can expand it to see the fields. That's kind of interesting if that's the case. That'd be helpful. It was like that thing, right? It's what happens in web, right? If you do a print or console.log with, you can give it multiple parameters. If one of those parameters is an object, you actually in the Chrome logger, it actually gives you the ability to like expand the object and browse the object at that point in time, which is really helpful. Apparently there's some more release notes in 21, and I don't know if we're not going to probably go through this, but yeah, there you go. New release notes. Breaking changes, discontinuing package support. This guy came out of the woods last week, right? So people were complaining about this, but iOS platform images, CSS colors, palette generator, Flutter image, Flutter adaptive scaffold, Flutter markdown. I don't know, I think there's some of these could probably be. So it's interesting that Flutter image is discontinued. The Flutter image package is one of those utilities packages that is not often used, but this should be part of. It's literally just this one class that needs to be made part of the Flutter framework. They're saying they discontinue it, but they're not saying that this is being put inside of Flutter. And to me, the retry functionality should just go straight into image.network. I don't know why we don't have it. Yeah, like this is actually, I've actually used this multiple times on various things, and not even used just the fetch strategy stuff. So I'm a bit miffed by this. I can see they don't want to support it because it's got large impact, perhaps, but it's very helpful, and I think it's one of the things.
When they said discontinued, what they really mean is they're looking for somebody to take it over that's not on the Flutter team.
Yeah, it's not receiving further updates. Community interested in collaborating, community to maintain a fault can coordinate with this issue. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's not like, but there's nothing to be added to it. But equally, it's like,
yeah.
But
if we think it ought to be, if we think it's important enough, why don't we take it over as a community?
Well, this is it, right? We could pop these over to the community stuff, but to adapt to scaffold as well. Yeah.
Especially given how many times I've told people to use Flutter adaptive scaffold in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird now that I'm recommending.
I think it's the kind of case of when you actually look at the numbers, these are their least used packages, probably, right? And they're also the ones that probably are least updated because they're pretty much final, right? There's certain things in here which aren't, like CSS colors is not going to change, right? Like they're not introducing new colors to CSS anymore. Like there's a fixed set of web standardized colors, right? So anyway, let's have a look. Remove of script-based application for Gradle plugin. Oh yeah. It supports converting the Flutter Gradle scripts to Groovy to Kotlin towards migrating to AGP's public API. Yeah, there's so I've had this so many. Okay, over the last month or so, there's been so many, like I had quite a few people come to me with like, it doesn't compile. My app doesn't compile anymore. Why doesn't my app compile anymore? And it's basically because the relationship between Android, between Gradle, the build system, the Android Gradle plugin, Java, and Flutter is like there's magical incantations to get these things working. What I mean by that is you have to have the right matching versions. It's pretty, unless you get your head around, you have to do it a few times to get your head around it. But yeah, this is hopefully having them automate this will reduce build-based regressions, right? Is what they're saying here. So now they're saying it supports auto converting it, right, towards the new AGP stuff standards. Okay, so project created before 3.16 that have not yet migrated will likely be impacted. You're applying Flutter's Gradle imperatively. Yeah, you need to have updated to the previous standard. They're not supporting the previous two standards. And there's actually docs. There's these docs that we've spoken about this before, which is the migration guide about how you actually migrate to the new standard, what you need to remove and change. It's a bit, if you don't know Gradle, if you haven't been using it, it's a bit of a minefield. There is a really simple way of doing this. Well, I say really simple. We said this before on the stream. You delete your Android folder. You run flutter create dot. The directory is like space dot. followed by -- platforms Android. And what that will do is I'll recreate your Android folder. Now, if you've got something checked into source control, you can then look at your source control utility and go, it's made this change. I'll keep that. It's trying to change my icons back. I'm going to discard that bit of the change. I'll keep my original icons. And you can hopefully update your Grader scripts in one foul swoop by doing that, right? That's one way of doing it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, we lost Danielle. Was it a time up? Did we
No, she didn't say anything yet, so I don't know.
Hopefully she comes back. Maybe it just got disconnected. If not, sorry, Danielle. Bye-bye. Right. Removal of a web HTML renderer. Yeah, we've spoken about this before. This this is great, and I think there's somewhere there's a list of intended replacement things. What we said before is we've said this on the stream. Jasper. So if you've been using the HTML renderer and you have like plugins and things that you're doing with HTML that require you to have access to div tags and the browser hierarchy a bit more than what you would do normally in Flutter, then yeah, you want to be using Jasper, JASPR. And you'll find that, there she is, she's back. So yeah, anyway, so that's the thing. Web image handling, basically they've improved the whole core situation, which was causing errors and problems. And you can control it with HTML web element strategy, so you can disable the fallback or whatever. Cool. Material normalization. Okay, yeah, so basically they've removed these top levels, which were all there in the original, and now putting them into the right sort of sections. Start fix command. Same for button style. Breaking changes. Contributing tests. Conclusion.
Yay.
Community is amazing. Yes, everyone is. Yay.
Yay. Yay.
I think this also, let's give it some claps. I think that the thing here, right, is to also say about this is that we complain about this. All these things can be solved. Like it's all open source. Like, we can. You want to fix some of these things, you can feed back to that and feed it back into the whole thing and actually fix some of these issues, right? So.
Sure.
Right.
Okay, so we're an hour and 15 into the show, and we've got 11 questions. I cut people off, so we are done with questions. We're ready to start answering the questions now. So we are done taking questions. So if you didn't get your question in these 11 questions, come back in 167 hours, and you'll be able to get in there. There we go. So let's start. The question list is with this one way up here. Scroll. How about this? What is the most elegant way to implement responsive font sizes?
Oh God, how do we answer this?
What I was going to say, though, first of all, is I don't really like changing my fonts in a responsive form. I might do it in an adaptive way.
Yeah.
But not responsive.
Right.
The answer is, David, it's with great difficulty and with high consequence.
Yeah.
I think that we went through this before. Like it depends on your scenario, right? Very often you do not want to have something just change its font size. In fact, the problem here is when you override that, what you're actually doing is you're overriding the user's ability to change their font. So for the most part, a user will go into the accessibility option on their phone and say large font size, and they expect your app to respect that. Mm-hmm. If you make responsive font sizes, don't get me wrong, you can still respect that, but then everything becomes a lot larger, right? Like you want things to scale to all together. There's actually one of these things that came out. So text scaler replaced the original text scale factor. Text scaler actually enables you to override the way your app behaves to text scale. So the default, I can't remember if it's what version of material you use or if it changes. The default is linear because that's how it always worked. But actually, text scale actually wants to scale with a exponential curve. So like you get really large and then you kind of like tail off, and you don't want to get, the smaller you get, you don't want those changes to become massive either. So they're like the biggest changes are in the middle area. You know what? Just yeah, I don't know if I can say that just set up a series of sizes that you want to respect and just have them as your theme sizes. I mean, for most, to be honest, most apps have a default size for body text, and then the size of text comes from around that. So if your default size of text is 20, right, that's pretty big, right? But let's say it's 20, right? Then your small might be 16, right? Like your small size, because your default size is 20. And your large might be, upwards of, 24, 28, 32. Whereas, if your default, believe the Android default is 14 for body size, then your small is considered 12, and your large is around 20, 24, 28, that kind of stuff. But I mean, again, like, it scales differently. So, just pick a set that works for your application design. I think I wouldn't. We've had this before. I tell you what. So you have this now. Like, it's not very often you want to do auto-size text. It's very old school. It's kind of old school. It's like iOS 1, 2, 3 kind of territory where basically, if it didn't fit in the screen, it made the font size smaller, right? And to be honest, you only want to do that to a minimum font size anyway, because otherwise you can't see it, right? So
Right. Yeah.
it doesn't.
There's also a problem.
Do that.
There's a problem with using auto-size text for accessibility as well, because if the reason I want the text to be bigger, but you're forcing this amount of text into 2 lines on my screen, then the text can't get any bigger, because I change it bigger, and it still goes with 2 lines. So don't do that. Auto-size text automatically makes your app less accessible for people who have vision problems, which some people do.
I will say there's exceptions to those rules, right? So in terms of layout, right? So we spoke about this before. I don't think we actually finished the code. So maybe if we do something, we might do that. Like a bottom nav bar. If you've got text on those icons on your bottom nav bar, you're just displaying 4 icons across the width of your screen. You make the font bigger, it cuts it all out.
Yeah.
It literally makes it worse to change your font size up in those situations. So normally a lot of apps, they remain small. They'll get bigger to a certain degree, but actually fit for the most part the text underneath the icon. And I think that's where you've got to choose, particularly your layout versus your behavior of your layout of your app for your use case and need. I don't think there's a particular one size fits all in any of this stuff. Like if you don't do a bottom nav, then you don't have that problem, right? So
yeah.
I'm way overdone. I need to get back to the day job.
Thanks for dropping on. Hopefully you had a good time.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. Hopefully you had a good time, right?
Yeah. Oh, always. This was great. That's a good show. And I will see everybody in how many hours, Randall?
167. 167.
Got it. See everybody in 167 hours.
See you.
All right.
Bye.
All right. So next question.
We've routed that one.
This one's going to be quick. Is Flutter going to support multiple programming languages in the long future? No. It's Dart. Learn Dart, guys. Just get over it. It's Dart. And that's what you get to use. Dart is a amazingly boring language, deliberately. Because it's just easy to learn. It doesn't have anything really exotic in it. It just got stuff you're familiar with already. Dart is the solution. You don't need.
Why do I have the feeling that someone's done like Flutter in Rust or Flutter in Go, like they've?
It was Flat, which was in Python, I think it was.
Oh, there was a Python one. I know people have taken their languages, like their preferred language, like Python, Golang, Rust, and kind of jerry-rigged them into the language. And it's not to say that's a bad idea. I think if you've got an external library that's written in Rust, let's say, and you want to use it inside your Dart app, that's the kind of perfect, right? Like, I mean, to me, like the same with Go. Python specifically needs that kind of thing. The nice thing about Golang and Rust is that they compile to native binaries, which means that you can use Dart's FFI to just communicate with the outputs, which, it just makes it work, right?
Yep.
And we won't talk about JS because that's just
No. Let's go on to the next question quickly. Now that you said that, why do you think this Flutter production era came with lots of breaking changes when the name suggests stabler versions? You have to ask Google.
Why does production mean stable? Like, since when did production mean stable?
Right.
Oh yeah, it's true. Production is never stable. Yeah. Okay.
No, I think that the idea is that I think again it's one of those things. You're trying to come up with the name of a show, and you go, "Oh, it's Flutter in production." Yeah. Now, like this is. I think the name actually came from. Remember, Flutter in production came from the fact that it's now look at what Flutter is like in production. Like look, it's actually out there. It's not that it's ready for production. People think of it as ready for. It's been ready for production since version 1, right? Yeah. I think that the key is that it's in production. It's like what is it now? Like it's like out in the world and everyone's using it, right?
Yeah, they're that's just it, right? They're trying to get that out there that hey, look, it's not just people playing around, developers playing around. There's big, large production apps that have been out there with it, and people need to start looking at it as a viable option for building apps. Yeah, large companies need to, I should say.
Yeah, I think we're done with that. Also, I think Nico, we've been saying this before. In fact, the community at large wanted this, and now we want breaking changes. Yeah. We said this for a long time, and I think I will just cover this briefly. And there's 2 lines of thought here. One is, do you keep your app backwards compatible with all the different API versions that happened before, right? Or your SDK, your library, whatever. Or do you get rid of that old craft and say, okay, no, this is old. Here's the new way of doing this stuff. Here's the new way of doing things. We're going to progress forward. And there's reasons to do both kind of viewpoints, right? Certainly maintain backwards compatibility for certain things, and certainly break things and move forward. And that's where the break and change policy comes in, and everything else that Flutter have come up with, where they go, okay, if we're going to make some serious breaking changes to some really serious APIs in the public API interface, we're going to provide a way of migrating or have it backwards compatible for a while, or we'll have a deprecation strategy and so on. So
give people lead time so they can make the changes. Yeah.
And look, if you have a project and it's a year old and you haven't updated it to the latest version of Flutter, well, you've only got yourself to blame for that, right? Like at the end of the day, but this is the it, right? Like if you're not consistently keeping up to date, it'll still compile with what you had. If you want to go compile with that version of Flutter, it'll still work. No one's stopping you from doing that, right? Like, I think it's a case of
guilty.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all had that kind of stuff, right?
I've got one that's still on like 3.17 that I just can't get around.
Where I'm seeing a lot of this in the community forums like Discord and stuff is that people are pulling down tutorials because they want to learn, and they pull down a tutorial that's 2 years old.
Yeah.
And so the code doesn't compile under the current Flutter or under the current Dart. And I'm trying to tell them you'd have to change that code. That code has to be changed. It's too old now because there are things that have happened. Here's where the breaking changes page is for Dart. Here's where the breaking changes page is for Flutter. You'll have to go through and switch those. And if you're studying, if you're doing this because you want a tutorial, it's really the wrong person to be doing it. But but that's why our advice always is don't look
less than a year.
Less than a year.
It's not interesting to say that, right? Because to me, the solution to that issue specifically is when people post. It's a hard sell. Don't get me wrong, but when people post online, they should put the Dart version comment at the top of the documents, because that's how you make your code backwards compatible with older versions of language changes, right?
Yeah.
You say, oh, it works on Dart Lang or whatever it is, 3.19.
Right.
Yeah. But you can't ask all the people who post online. They're not going to know to do that, first of all. And
yeah. Good luck.
I don't think there's a nice solution. But I think the other solution behind this is to post new content, right? To look at new content. I mean,
we try.
Yeah.
We push out as fast as we can. It takes a lot of work to make publications, though. Really, it does.
Yeah.
Let's just move on.
I saw someone's technical. I got to say, I saw someone's technical blog the other day, and it's a developer that I highly respect, and he has one of his technical blogs where it goes into so much detail and depth, and I'm like, how does he find the time? Like, he's working on the project. You have to make notes to make these blogs.
Yeah.
You can't remember all that stuff.
Right.
You have to make notes as you do stuff to write up like the story or the details behind it, or once you finish doing something, you have to go spend 3 hours writing a blog post. I'm like, this is, I couldn't do that. It's a certain type of person that can do it. I can't do that, I don't think.
I'm about 5 keystrokes away from adding a new entry to my list of things I want to do for my screencast for my show.
The ever-growing
and it's so easy to add things there that I have 290 items, I think, the last time I checked, but I never get back to them. That's why I'm sorry. That's why my channel, my YouTube channels, needs another entry. I made a really great one a couple weeks ago, but I got to do it. I got another one. We do one on exceptions. It's going to be really cool. But coming up soon, and I'll put the URL in the chat room. Let's see here. Did I type this already? Yeah, this here.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is going to tax my brain. Come
Well,
on.
I don't understand. So I tried to ask for more details because what I'm trying to figure out is you're transferring data between a Flutter Windows app and an Android app. A Flutter Android app that you're sharing data from or between?
Well, the way that you can do this is using ADB, obviously.
Sure, if you're
But to be honest, you'd probably be better off doing what's it called, the multicast DNS stuff, where you can you do your app running on. If you're controlling this app, is your app on the Android device, it broadcasts on the Wi-Fi. Hi, I'm over here, and then the Windows desktop application looks on the on your local network for that device, and you just do it over the Wi-Fi over the LAN. That's what I would be doing. It's a lot easier to do that kind of joining and finding of devices over a LAN than it is over any sort of wired connection, believe it or not. There's a lot of there's a lot you can do when you have something connected on USB, and there can be also restrictions and other things in place and drivers, and it gets really complicated where two things connected to IP, network, it's just simple. Like there's IP you have to do, like the one network protocol, and you're done, right? So I would when I first read this, I thought of like you're trying to transfer data between an app on like a Windows app and a Flutter Windows app, and I was like, oh, you have that. There's that kind of there's a mechanism inside of Windows where you actually can get the clipboard and you can like copy stuff, and you can, when you drag and drop it, it copies the data over. And I've forgotten what the mechanism's called. There's like a part of the Win32 API, but anyway, it's not that. So,
okay.
Hang on. He says,
"Yeah, I know, but I'm no.
Hang on. There's a follow up in the chat.
Follow up at the very
data
end,
transfer from a Windows Flutter app to a Flutter Android app using USB. Where do I start writing a package?
But why are you transferring? I guess what's the use case? Wouldn't you just have a back end that the data is stored in, that both apps hit the same data?
I mean, look, if you want to do that, you can do that, but then you need to this lovely idea of what's connected on USB is not the same. So normally when you connect a device over USB, it picks itself up as a specific type of device, like a media sharing device, like a files sharing device, as what's it called? PTP, picture to photo. I can't remember what it's called now. Like a photo sharing device.
Peer to peer.
Sorry, peer to peer.
Peer to peer.
No. I think it's. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, there's a few different protocols that it uses, and you can make back into those, but they're all operating system based. Like they're all. You're not. The best way you can do that, if you want to do that train of thought, is to use ADB, and you're using the Android debug bridge, and you've got full control of the device to do whatever the hell you want. But you now got to get a person to install that, and if they're not a developer, that's just silly. So find a different way.
I guess I'm trying to figure out the use case, right? So what is this, that you're using a Android phone with the app somewhere out in the field, and now you want to be able to access the data that you collected from your Windows machine? So wouldn't you just, the easy thing would just be package up the data, push it up to a server that the Windows pulled from? I mean, I guess that's what I'm wondering. What's the use case?
There's crazy things you do try to thought. Like you can just like you have the permission on your Android app to write to the public storage directory. So you get use the path provider package to get like the downloads directory. You can then write out your data file, whatever you want to transfer, into that directory. And then when you plug it into the computer, you can have your Windows app. It can actually pick up when a USB device is being connected to a USB mass storage device. When it knows a USB mass storage device is connected, it scans it for a downloads folder that contains that file. and then it can grab that file. Right? Like
Sure.
there's plenty of ways of doing this, but over LAN, if you want to do anything, do it over LAN. It's performant, it's reliable, it's simple. Yeah, just you can just there is John Chambers said no serial package. It's not about that, right? Your device has to be picked up as a serial device, and it's not. So if you had a custom USB device that you're plugging into, not Windows, then you can have it pick up as a serial port. And then when you plug that into a Linux device, i.e. the Android device, it would go, oh, I found a serial port. I can communicate over serial. And you can actually, in Android, communicate to a serial device over USB. But he's just saying plug into his Windows machine, which is just going to pick it's up to Windows machine as the host of that interface. With the other interface, the Android phone is the host, right? So it's a host-slave interface, right? So with the Android device being the host, it's going to pick up a serial device that's been external to it, not being the host. Whereas if you plug into Windows machine, the Windows machine wants to be the host, and therefore it's up to the Android device.
That would work. That could work.
Yeah, but this one said, it's literally the same as you don't need a web server. Like, it's the same as like you just do this thing where you listen on a port. It doesn't have to be web, doesn't have to be anything HTTP or anything like that. Listen on a port, and you broadcast a what's it called? MDNS.
Bonjour.
Like Bonjour on iOS and it's micro DNS, MDNS. I can't remember what it stands for now.
The package is something like Bonjour. It's a different French.
Bonjour is where the standard came from, which was Apple.
If you look for Bonjour in a pub, you'll find it.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, the point here is you can broadcast. Like I'm over here on the local network, and then there's a tons of discovery announcement protocols and stuff, like whatever. Anyway, you can do that. You can just look it up. Yeah. Anyway, right, moving on. Right, where was I?
Okay. Too many windows open. All right, and let's go here. Is this the right one? Nope, that's the one we just did. This one is a religion question. DDD architecture, MVVM. I just put everything in one file and just have it call randomly back and forth.
It's like 50,000 lines.
That's all. That's all you need, really.
It's kind of interesting you say that, right? Because when I start building widgets or something, I normally end up just doing a lot of them in one file, and then I separate off.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you go into this notion of I'm going to split everything off into these multiple architectural things, it slows down the development flow so much, having to go back and forth and change interfaces and change things. Like get it working, and once you get it working, then you can refactor into whatever architectural pattern that you want that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. I will say that there is now an opinionated view on what this is by the Flutter on the Flutter docs. I will post this link in the chat for everyone. And this goes through, architecture, concepts, MVVM, UI layer, domain-driven logic, all that kind of fun stuff. And you can go, there's so much in here about how you actually build proper apps and layers of UI and responsiveness and blah, blah, blah. Was it data layer, view model layer? I think in here they got unidirectional data flow and whatever else. That there's so many like bits of information and examples. So go design patterns. Go to your optimistic state, persistent storage, offline first, command pattern. Yeah, you name it. There's tons of information. So go there you go, MVVM.
Do what works. Do what works.
Also, do whatever works.
Remember that your IDE can rename files and split classes out of files relatively easily, both. So given that, you can start as Simon does, all in one file, and then you could just extract a class out, put it over here, make a folder that goes around that, rename them into that folder, and the IDEs will take care of all this for you. So
you do this complex like layout, you can do that all really, really low optimal. I'm in one massive build function, right? And then you can go, okay, that's going to be reused. I'm going to redo that. I'm going to use this again, bring that out, and you can start refactoring it. But going at it like that from the beginning is just painful. You might,
Also, also, I do have a challenge when somebody says MVVM. It feels like they're coming from Java or Android, and MVVM had to be set up because Android and Java didn't have the notion of directly observable source of truth. But we have that in Flutter in the form of change notifiers and things like that. So that means your source of truth can actually also be observed, which means it can be reacted to. And so we don't need to make a separate view model layer to make that happen. So it's closer, I think, in Flutter, and I've seen this from a number of sources now, to call it MVC, like the classic Smalltalk environments of model view and control.
I've seen MVI, MV whatever.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, separate your concerns, and you'll be happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, for example, I want to give an example here of where I would use a view model, right? Because people like have a kind of interesting point about this. Let's say you have a flat series of data of a list of items. Let's say contacts, right? You've got a list and address book, right, of everyone in every alphabetical letter you can think of. But what you want to do when you display it is you want to display the letter A above the section of people that begin with A, B above the B, C above the people that start with C, and so on. Now, what you then do is you listen to the data in its flat format. You then, when you get changes, you process that data into a view model. And then when you build your view model, you build an entry for category header A. You build one for contact entry B, whatever. And then you then take that data, which is now your view model, and then you pass that to your list view for it to display. This way, there's a one-to-one with the widget that displays and what you have in your model. This makes the process of actually displaying and updating things a lot simpler. So having that middle step is where it comes into like this view model. But yeah, you can also have that view model being the output of your block, right? That's your state on your block, if you will. And then you can listen to that changes, right? So when that changes, you update your UI. Ton of ways to do that.
You might call the inside of a RiverPod provider a view model in a sense, because it is a collection of data already pre-shaped to be something that can be immediately spewed on the screen.
I think a good example, another good example I can think of this, just for the sake of completeness here, and that is, let's say you've got, I think I've mentioned this example before, but let's say you've got a blog post and you've got a person who posted it attached to that, like the person's name and avatar and everything else. Now you might have a separate API call to fetch a user from the system, a separate one to fetch a post, but you need to combine those two models together to display it on the screen. So inside your RiverPod stuff, you call out to your repositories, you get that data back, and then there'll be one which is to display the blog stream on the screen, and that's going to make the combination and then display that back. So it's about prepping everything and aggregating data for your UI. Yeah, that's enough for me.
All right, yeah, moving on here. Here's a graphics problem. Easy way of rounding off an arc in a custom painter, so it's like a sausage instead of a rainbow. I never thought a sausage or a rainbow was close enough to each other to even be in it.
So it's instead of like this, it's like this.
I don't get it.
It's a flat arc.
He wants a wiggly line. No, I think I'm not sure what he means. To be fair, so you can get do a line arc in a path. Once you have your path for your arc, you then just draw it with a if you want it rounded like a sausage, then all you're doing is you're saying you want your stroke thickness, and it's called end cap. So you set your end cap to rounded. And what will happen is when it draws that line, the line is really thick and the ends are rounded. I'm assuming that's what you mean, Jim. But yeah, you're drawing a stroke. You mean you set your paint style to stroke for it to work, right? Otherwise, you won't get the end caps the way you think. But it's just a line you're drawing, like a curved line, which is just add arc to a path. So you path brackets dot add arc, and then you do draw path on the canvas. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, hopefully.
This is how you draw sausages on Custom Painter.
And not rainbows. Not rainbows.
No, like rainbows. No unicorns, only sausages. Right.
We prefer. Did I say that? Right. I'm stopping now.
He followed this up. He meant that it's not an official package, but it's fairly popular. That was the follow-up to that.
What
Okay.
was? Sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, he's reading the chat. I can't remember what.
No, I was reading the question. So the question that you had up about Stripe, he meant to say from info on pub, I assume it is not an official package. He followed this question up with a follow-up that said, I meant not an official package.
Okay, my head's all exploded. Let's carry on.
Yeah. We got plenty of questions. So what's your experience with Flutter Stripe? From info.
This is the one I'm talking about.
Oh my god! Read the question first.
Question first. Remember, John, question first, then a bunch of stuff and answers, then a bunch of men talk. We got to get stuff right order here. Right. Okay. So, Flutter Stripe is not, it's not an official Stripe package either, is it?
I think there is an official Stripe package now.
It's like a third-party thing that just got done so that it could somehow work.
I seem to remember that. I thought, was it Stripe that actually made an official package? I think they did, didn't they?
Apparently,
no, so flutterstripe.io is not official. Is it linked? I would go to to be honest, I would go to the official documentation of Stripe, and when if they link out to an unofficial package, like a community package, then they're saying it's good to go, right? It's good to use.
Yeah.
But yeah,
right.
Us. Yeah, I mean, this is like we said this before. Like there's official packages made by the developer and unofficial ones, and like, yeah, you just got to be careful about what you're using, right? If you're actually using like some sort of genuine package. But the other one is you should be doing code review of any package that you include inside your app. To be honest,
especially money. Yeah. I want to say money is an interesting.
I mean, imagine you put one of these plugins in and you realize actually it's scraping all of your users' data and sending it off to a third-party place. Right? No,
that would be bad. Yes, that would be bad. So,
but yeah, I would say if you're going to look at like the Stripe stuff, then just look at the Stripe's documentation and see if they link out to an unofficial third party, because they actually essentially promoting that, right? They're saying we've looked at this, we think it's okay.
I'm flashing back to a place where somebody I know was working on a project where it was landlords charging rent using things like Stripe, and they were actually siphoning off money as well. It was just really like horrible, and he had to get out of there before he got arrested along with everybody else or whatever.
It sounds terrible. I want to just before we get off that topic. He said, what was it? A bit skeptical, but the other side is quite popular, so aren't people using it? Try to judge package based on the Git repo and the recent activities. So part of the Flutter ecosystem committee, when we review packages, is based on all of this, right? How active is it in closing PRs? Is it got good comments? Has it got good documentation? That's you just judging a package to see if it's decent. Like, you do your code review, you go, am I going to put this code in my app? It doesn't matter who wrote the code, right? Like, end of the day is like, it's not that different from anything else. I think that when it comes to the payment stuff, you should definitely be considering it, but all code you put in your app, you should review. Just blindly taking code and putting in your app is not a good idea in any sense of the word.
No, definitely not.
Right.
And you're anybody who does security reviews in your company, if you have a large enough company, is obviously going to be
looking at reviews.
Yeah, I know. There are some companies that are big enough, I hope.
I think, to be honest, I think this kind of comes back to software is still a young industry, and we've seen several incidents happen over the time. And I think of this, like if we were the airline industry, right? And you had a plane crash, they do a whole thing where it's like, oh my God, what happened? How do we not have this happen again with other planes? Airlines all have to comply to these new rules, right? We don't have that in the software industry. A package goes out there and it's been hacked or some other sort of random thing, and that suddenly all these apps start including this dependency in their product. It's like, okay, sorry,
Yeah.
You know, fix it, move on. You know, there's not like standards that everyone has to run by per se, and I think that that's where, as an industry, we fall down a bit. And to apply those standards, they're not requires also to apply standards requires you to have a certain team size and responsibility and everything else, and it's just not viable for a lot of coding setups. You know, like coding teams. So
yeah. And for what it's worth, the official docs from Stripe do not have any Flutter sample or references.
Oh, you take a look. Yeah, there you go then.
Yeah.
So because you must then, like, you know, do your own make your own
iOS SDK, Android SDK, React SDK, a bunch of other platforms, but nothing Flutter.
I mean, take a look at these packages. If you've got to look at it and go, oh, it depends on this, it does that, and it looks standard, use standard stuff, then yeah, go use it. I mean,
it's probably just some REST calls anyway. It's probably something.
That's what I'm saying. It's either if it's on the back end, it's REST calls. If it's like Stripe Dart or Stripe, you know, like back end side of things. And if it's the Flutter side of Stripe, then it's going to be just wrapping the Android iOS SDKs probably. So, you know.
Speaking of breakdowns in the software industry, I pasted the dailywtf.com link in the chat. If you're not subscribed to that, please subscribe to that, because you can learn so many amazing things about what other people have done that you should never follow. I always had agreements with my clients when I would say I would do a code review for you, and I promise in the contract, I promise I won't submit any of this to the dailywtf.com, no matter how bad it is, because that otherwise they're afraid that I might do that. So because it's some of the stuff.
They're certainly afraid now you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yes. There we go.
Like, never even heard of this before. They go there like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. My favorite, of course, is one that has as the three, or the Boolean class, and the three parameters for the bool are true, false, and file not found.
Oh no, I've seen that. There was another one that got picked up by XKCD, I think it was, and it was like there was that classic get random number and returns 4 always.
Yeah.
And it says above it, I came up with this number with a random throw of the dice. It was random at the point of he made the function.
For some of you now, I figured out how to waste the next 8 hours of your life.
At least,
yeah. There is some amazing stuff there. There's some Perl code. I've seen Perl code in there.
Just wait. There'll be just wait. Half the audience will start submitting things for WTF now. Anyway, right. Come on. Let's.
This one's quick. Puro.
Yep.
So, just to back it up for people, if you need to have multiple versions of Flutter installed, like one project's on one version, another project's on another version, or you're porting an old project and you want to port it to the modern one, but you have to first start by having the old Flutter to be able to even like compile it and stuff. The king of the hill.
15-word limit.
Yeah, he's already over the 15-word limit. Yeah.
So go carry on.
It's a rolling 15, right? So FEM used to be the champion of that. Puro, a lot more efficient, a lot cooler. It's more efficient network wise. It's also more efficient on linking it up with your shell and linking it up with your IDE. And it has 2 secret Easter eggs that are really cool. It has eval and it has REPL. So you can eval a string in whatever releases of a Flutter you have. So you could go back to a Flutter, classic from 2 years ago and eval a string, see how it interpreted any different. So, and it also has a REPL where you can have some continuous data as you keep typing more and more lines of Dart. Pretty cool stuff. Anyway, so that's it.
I'm going to say both are reliable. So which is reliable? Both.
Yeah, but Puro.
I mean, reliable is not the word you're asking here. Like reliable is the wrong question, right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Wrong answer for that. You mean? Yes. Right. There you go.
Oh, which is reliable, right?
Yeah, they're both reliable. But
I've been using FEM on quite a few projects. Been very happy with it. Like, I mean, if you're doing a new project, Puro,
Yep, easy to install too. All right. How about this? Tough one. Package is not compatible with WASM because Dart.io is being used in Flutter in-app web view, and we're using Flutter in-app web view as a dependency in our package. How do we get rid of this? Well, you remove it from the pub spec. No, I don't think that's enough.
No. The problem you've got, hang. The problem you've got, you depending on times being used in in-app web view, and we're using Flutter in-app web view as a dependency of our package. I see the problem. That's basically that Flutter in-app web view doesn't actually support the web as a dependency then. So the way you solve this is you fork it, you fix it, and you submit a patch back to them. I mean, you're asking. I mean, that you ask, how do you get rid of it? That's how you get rid of it. I mean, that's not the official package, right? That's the in-app web view. Yeah, that's just that's just a third-party package. Have you looked at the official Flutter web view package? Does that support web now? I think it does, doesn't it?
I don't know.
Let's have a quick look. WebView_Flutter version 4.10, Android, iOS, and macOS. Wow. To be honest, I don't even know why you're using it. Like you're doing. Why do you even need this? My brain just like
web.
You know, wait. Flutter in-app web view on the web.
Doesn't make sense.
You just make an iframe.
Yeah.
Hang on. What?
Simon, believe it or not, I get a lot of questions like this from people that they're trying to make a web view on a web browser. And I'm going, it's already web.
Yeah. It literally just broke my brain for a second there, I think.
Welcome to my world answering these questions.
I think I actually made like a I feel like I actually made here we go. iframe and text area. I made this in 2020. I'm going to show this code. I have no idea how this is going to compile now. Right? Oh, that's the wrong tab, he says, but I'll just write over it. There you go. So HTML widgets in Flutter Web, iframe and text area. This is definitely probably dead code, but you can use it to get where you need. So this creates a HTML element widget, which registers a platform view. This is definitely broken. This you need to specify a type to it. But yeah, in general, there it is down here. This is it. Register view factory. That's the one. So register this widget, and basically this creates a platform view. And inside here, you can create an iframe. So if I skip all of this nonsense, here's the iframe widget, and it's just this iframe widget: width, height, source, allow full screen, whatever parameters you want, and that's what you do, and you're done. So yeah, this is obviously from Dart HTML, but it's the same thing. It's slightly named differently, but it's in Dart Web. And yeah, you want a text area widget from the official browser, then you can use a text area element. There you go. And you can update it, handle text input, and I don't know what else I was doing at the time, but there you go. Look, you can now have a YouTube video inside your Flutter app. And it is in 2020. Just it needs a bit of TLC probably, but that's it. That's an iframe widget right there. That's all you do. All on one screen. Oh, that's small. There you go. Anyway, I will post that link in the chat.
Okay.
And
next week.
Yeah, I mean, you can just do an if statement, right? For anyone that doesn't know, you can just do an if statement. Go if I'm on. You do a conditional import. That's probably also that doesn't help, but yeah. If you're doing builds of your app, like you're suggesting, that if you need to keep in-app web view for your Android and iOS releases, then what you might have to do is have a parent package and sub out your stuff. So basically, Android and iOS package depends on in-app web view, and you have a web deployment that depends on package web, and you can split the two. So you have two entry points. You have two directories of two different pub specs, and then they both include code from a third package, which is the rest of your code base. And this way, you can keep your dependencies separate for your different types of release. If you don't do that, there's no way of separating dependencies for different build types. This is the problem you get into what you got right now, which is a transitive dependency depends on stuff that is not ready for web.
Yep. Okay. Next to last question. Yay. Do Dart threading changes mean it's easier to communicate between Flutter and native? Are isolates still used? Yes.
Yes and yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Well,
yes, it does. Yeah. And isolates are still used for many things. So yes.
Yes. All right. Final question this week. I have an exception from a gRPC client stop my UI and bubble up to the debugger, even though it's an async value guard. Also, try catch around it doesn't stop it. Wow, that's a really powerful exception. Then, waiting to any idea?
I have an exception from a gRPC client. Stop my UI and bubble up to the debugger, even though it's an async value guard. Also, try and catch around it doesn't stop it.
Async
okay, so all async will bubble up if you don't have an uncaught exception handler to deal with it. So what you normally do is do a run zoned around a section of your code. So run zoned top level from the Dart zone side of things will capture any async exceptions that turn it into an error function that you can specify, and then it's up to you to do what you want. That's the only way to try catch without awaiting, your everything that's running inside that zone. So yeah, that's what you want to do.
Okay.
You have to catch it. So basically, when you start your gRPC client or whatever the flow is that gets to that point, you need to wrap it in a run zoned. Yay.
And that was it. What do we do? Oh, I am awaiting it though, he says.
I am awaiting it though. Yeah, well, that all depends on what the async, you're an async function, and is that being awaited? It travels down a chain, right, to the uncaught exception handler, right? So yeah, you bet run zoned, trust me, do that. You'll thank me later.
Oh. Well, we're right at 2 hours, so we can start doing a.
I kind of want to know, was there anything that came up in conversation? I feel like there's a couple of cues that came up that we might.
No.
Did I miss them?
Okay, thank you. Never heard of that. Cool. Glad to do that. There was a couple at the end that I said were cut off. We could just roll back to those. Like this.
That was still in the flexible design, yeah.
Maybe it's the same, but it's a little different.
How to handle device pixel ratio handling as a user manual setting in it desktop. Oh, so you're saying you want to override the pixel ratio. We'll do that. Override it. There you go. You can override it. I mean, how to override? I mean, like, you just override the value.
That's another question earlier. Hold on.
So it's the device pixel ratio is pushed down in the media query, right? If I'm running.
Here's another question.
Make a drag, make a slider, make it override. I'm trying to a navigation indicator using the above gist. I feel I'm not doing it correctly.
But he never gave us the gist.
We never got the link. You can't post the links on them. We won't see it.
Yep, that's the problem. That's
post just the hash. And sorry, it's too late. We're not going to look at code now.
So. Yep.
All
right. So,
what happened to last week's show? Someone said it got cancelled. Sorry.
Yeah, I responded to that one. Yeah.
Remember, we're
on the zoned. How many runs zoned can there be in a Flutter app?
This is not a puppy. This is
fox.
This is hang on a minute, Flutterflow. The Flutterflow Fennec fox.
Yeah.
The fox.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yep. I don't have one of those, but I don't have. All I have is this one little dash.
That's
that Neeli gave me. Yes.
My one.
That one. Just one. Maybe I'll get another one this year at I/O. Maybe we'll give them out or something. Anyway.
A way of connecting devices in the same Wi-Fi network should then be able to share data in real time. Just networking.
Yeah, you can use the bunch the bonsoir that I posted.
Yeah, I mean, just normal networking.
Yeah.
That's what you've
Yeah.
you've literally just said. I'm Wi-Fi. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
We just said you broadcast. I'm over here. The two devices can then display this, and you can then connect them. It's up to you to just to do your negotiation, right? So you'll receive a connection on one saying I'm connected to a device, and then that has the device has to tell you its address, and like you do the handshake, right? But that's up to you to decide how you do it. There are protocols and things, but it's not that difficult. You said connections be active for a long time, probably an hour. If you're having a problem with connections being dropped, that's because your app is being cleaned up by the operating system because it needs more memory. You have to start a background task on Android, for example, to do that. On iOS, you cannot do it. You have like I think 10 seconds at a time when it various different things like.
Yeah.
So the way you do it, there's a Flutter background package which will allow you to start up a background service, and that will persist your application in memory for the duration that's displayed. The user can then cancel it on purpose. That's the reason why it's done that way. So the user can choose to sees that your app is active, and that is using the Wi-Fi network or whatever, and they can hit stop, and they'll stop being visible on the network or whatever. That's up to you to obviously code that in.
Okay.
I don't know if I saw anything else. I think we're kind of at the end. Let me just quick scan through. What's this?
I've got a meeting in an hour, so we'd have to stop before.
It's really better designed for mobile because most linear vertical design, but desktop is like a grid. It's just to make desktop app which resizes to any screen directly.
Yeah, make it responsive.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
use breakpoint.
Yeah, you just say like when my screen is this width, do this thing. When it's this other width, do that other thing.
Or the cheaper version of that is use wrap, which is really cool because you basically can have like boxes that will either be vertical or side by side, depending on whether there's room or not.
Gridview has a couple of different varying ways of displaying its grid, like max extent versus child count. The max extent is actually the one that's responsive. Child count is not necessarily so. So child count is saying you want like three in the width always, whereas with the child extent, you say it's like 200 dips. Then as the screen gets bigger, it will put 3, 4, 5 in the width, which is a bit different from wrap because wrap has to have all the widgets where Gridview is a builder.
Anything else? Nothing else coming in? Are we done?
Nope.
End caps, blah, blah, blah.
Resize with aspect ratio.
Yeah, what's this mean here?
What's this? What?
Well, window height and width. So they're making the window narrower or taller, and you want to resize with the aspect ratio. You put
resize the contents.
I mean, look. Ready? Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
In the top level, as the width changes, you change a double value from between like 0 and 1 as a value, let's say of or sorry, whatever. But as a factor, right? So 1 would be 100%, so it stays the same. You want to get smaller as they make the window smaller. You can go from down to like 0.5 for 50%. You want to go up, you get to 1.5, which is 150%, right? That's a standard scale factor, right? Okay. So as you do your media, you can do whatever you want at the top level. You can have a what's it called? Observer. Oh god, what's the name of the observer? Platform observer? No. Navigation observer? No, it's not that.
Did it view something now?
Observable something? Oh god, no, it's going to bug me now. I've got to go find it. You can look at the media query, but the media query is not actually what you want to look at. You actually want to look at what's coming through from the platform, which I've forgotten what they named it now. And now the Flutter SDK won't resolve for me because of DNS. I don't know. Great. Anyway, I'm not going to look it up. Anyway, there's an observer you can find. You can go look up how to observe it. It has dispatch. What's it did update lifecycle and locales. Huh? Oh, it's
layout builder. Layout builder. No.
It's gonna bug me if I don't find this. I'm gonna
Train of
find
thought.
it.
Layout builder.
How is it not on the thing? Did update. Did update app. No, did app. Really? Did update app lifecycle? God damn. Live.
This is an impossible request here. They need the UI to fit any screen or monitor with any resolution. No.
Yeah, you'll be spending months and months and months tweaking to get it anywhere close to being able to do that.
Right.
Widgets binding
Did
observer.
update.
That's the one.
That's there you go.
Did change
Yeah, I
metrics.
I'll pop the link in the chat. I know it was it. Anyway, so widgets binding observer. If you set that up properly, then you get you can do like what do we call it? Was it widget a Flutter widget binding dot instance dot add observer? There's not, yeah, I was saying it's there. It's widget binding dot add observer. It's kind of noted. Anyway, and then you get your did change metrics, and you can listen to did change metrics. You can then look at the platform dispatcher for the width and height, or view of context. There's a bunch of things you can do to get your actual size, and then you change your double value, and then guess what? You stick it in your state, however you're doing your state stuff, and then your widgets that are listening to that scale factor will rebuild, and then you just multiply your widths and your heights by that number. Now you've made your own breakpoint scaling system. That's it. You done it. It's like 10 lines of code. 100 at the most if you're doing the interface. I don't know. But yeah, it's not super complicated.
More stuff. Tried with layout builder. As soon as it's not able. What do you mean it's not able? That means you haven't programmed it. That's the only reason.
What's layout builder got to do with resizing?
Yeah. Right.
Responsive framework. Why do you need a package for this?
Or using responsive framework. Ugh. Responsive resizing. No. Stop changing the size of text. Stop making everything a percentage of a pixel of a width. That's just wrong. Use flex. Learn to use flex widgets properly. Banded and column and row.
I'm not able to resize vertical or horizontal lists when maintaining the same aspect ratio. Well, you don't retain the aspect ratio because the aspect ratio is based on the width of the screen. You can do that and maintain the aspect ratio, but then you need to do like a center and a line around it. And then you're not really, the layout doesn't what you want anyway. I mean, you're trying to do, I don't see what you're trying to do here. Maybe your approach is wrong. You're thinking about the approach incorrectly to how you're doing it. There's needs some specific examples, I think, to take this further.
He needs my blurb that I have about you don't want pixel perfect, but I can't fit it in the chat room here, so I won't be able to show it.
Someone just said, sorry. Oh, you deleted it. Train of thought deleted it. Train of thought, you missed it.
Yeah.
I was about to say, yes, it is. In fact, here it is. Did change app lifecycle state as part of widgets binding observer.
Wow.
Widgets binding observer is the interface that every Flutter app has to the parent platform. Don't do it directly with the system channels. It's gonna break. Also, there's a big change that took place where platform dispatcher came in to support multi-window. So now you're supposed to use view.of context to get the window that the surface that you're actually on, not the global scope. But there's a bunch of ways of doing it. But yeah, there you go.
Yep. Okay. Well, we're at 2 hours and 15 minutes. Maybe we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's about it. We won't. I don't think we'll do live coding at the moment. We can possibly come back and do some stuff. Submit your thoughts about what we can code and in tweets at was it hashtag Humpday Q&A and at Flutter Community, and we'll pick those up next time. We'll see what we can do. Was it 166 hours now? Or was it 165?
166, a little less than 166. Yes, just a little less, not too much less.
Maybe we can actually show off a bit about the future multi-window stuff next week.
Yeah, could be.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And thank you, John, for joining us as well.
Yeah.
And we'll see you everyone same time next week.
Right.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.